Hey guys, thanks for coming back. I just want you to know this is a spoiler-free review of The Man of Steel that came out this weekend. However, I will be spoiling Superman Returns just a little bit. So if you don't want me to, spoil that for you, please click away now. But for those of you who stayed, let's see if Henry Cavill, Diane Lane, Russell Crowe, and Michael Shannon make The Man of Steel better than Superman Returns. Welcome to the review, guys. Roll the intro.
With a K review. It's VIC?
No, it's with a K.
Oh.
So a lot of people, in my opinion, and let's be really honest about this, 95% of people in the world didn't really like Superman Returns. There were a lot of issues with the plot, and the fact that Lois Lane had Superman's kid. That can't happen. But let's just make sure that is actually true. Let us check in with our residential expert.
Short answer, mainstream continuity, no. A few other timelines, including Superman Returns, the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, they had a kid, obviously. That was in the movies.
Wait, he in the Richard Donner version, they had a kid together?
Well, they hinted at it, because at the end of the movie, it's 10 a.m. in the morning, she wants like 4 cheeseburgers, or 2 cheeseburgers, which back then was unheard of at 10 in the morning. That was hinting that she was pregnant and having cravings.
Oh, okay. So it would not be accurate for me to say in the review that he has never had a kid with Lois Lane.
The comics and the stories, they've never had a kid. In Superman Returns, they did, but that is now, no pun intended, aborted. I went there.
You know what the funny thing is right now?
What?
Is this entire thing is being recorded.
Nice. No, it's not.
No, well, on the review it is. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sexalicious. Thank you for watching.
But even with that whole kid thing and with a lot of other plot points in the movie that I didn't really like, I did feel that Brandon Roth did play the character of Superman really well. In fact, I really did think he played it a lot closer to the Christopher Reeves version. Now, when I heard this movie was going to be rebooted and directed by Zack Snyder, I was a little bit worried. Not because Zack Snyder's a bad director or anything like that. I mean, he directed movies like 300, Watchmen, and Sucker Punch. Now, 2 of the 3 of those movies were aimed at people like me, adult man-children. But what I was really worried about for this movie is that he was going to do that slow-mo effect that he always does in every single one of his movies. But what really impressed me is that this movie is the most un-Snyderish type of movie from Zack Snyder, and I'm going to get into that just a little bit later. So for about the first 20 minutes of this movie, we're on the planet Krypton. You really do get a good sense of Russell Crowe playing Jor-El, and you also get a really good sense of what Krypton looked like. It's not really like that Emerald City type of thing, it's more rustic and organic. It really has a dark feel to it. It's not just a really happy place. Also at this point, you do get to meet Zod, but we're going to get to that way later in the review. So after the whole Krypton fiasco, we do have a 30-year time jump to the present where Clark is an adult, he's like hiding from his identity and he doesn't want people to know who he is, and his childhood at that point is being told through flashbacks. But I can also see how people were irritated with this. In fact, when I talked to people about it after the movie, a lot of people said that it was kind of choppy, but for me, I thought it flowed really well for the entire movie. Now at about the middle point of the movie, I did find a few things that I liked and a few things that I didn't like. Now Diane Lane as Martha Kent did a really good job playing that character. However, it seemed like towards the end of the movie that her character really started to fade away. She was really in there at the beginning, like her flashbacks were great. It really helped to build his character, but towards the end she just kind of faded away. As for Henry Cavill playing Superman in the movie, I did like the way that he portrayed Superman, but the one thing that kind of bothered me throughout the entire movie was that he didn't really talk a whole lot. Now don't get me wrong, he did speak in the film, but it felt like he wasn't talking a whole lot. He was letting his actions doing more of the talking for him, and I think that might throw some people off. Now Kevin Costner playing Jonathan Kent, he did a really good job in this movie. He actually was the one in this movie that kind of brought everything together. And there was one scene in the movie that made me feel like...
Don't or I will.
Now let me get something straight here. I did that on the inside, okay guys? I kind of had one tear. It was really sad. Anyway, let's keep going. So Lois Lane in this movie is played by Amy Adams, and she does a really good job in this movie keeping Lois Lane as a strong, independent woman, and she does add a little twist onto her character in the movie, which I really did like. However, there is one really surprising character in this movie, and it has to do with the character of Faora, played by her. I tried for 20 minutes to say her name and I really couldn't, so yeah, there's her name. If you can say it, let me know. For the moment, I'm just gonna call her A.T. So I didn't think I'd seen A.T. before in anything else, and then I remembered. She was in the movie Pandorum in 2009 and she played Nadia. So in the movie, A.T. does do a really good job as playing Fiora, and she has this really good interaction with Christopher Maloney from the SVU. He plays Colonel Hardy in the movie, and their interaction in the movie was really surprising, how they would banter and how they would go against each other, and it was just really, really well done. In fact, if she was actually the main villain in this movie instead of Zod, I actually would have been okay with that. Which brings me to the character of Zod, played by Michael Shannon. Now, since I've seen the other 80s Superman movies, I do have this conception of what Zod is supposed to be like. You know, he's supposed to be the guy that says, "Kneel before Zod!" But in this particular movie, he is more militaristic and he doesn't have that stamp type of, arrogance about him. And for the most part, it really did seem like it took Shannon a long time to really come into the character of Zod. It really wasn't until the end of the movie, like the last 30 minutes, where you were really like, oh my god, that's Zod. And since it took that amount of time for him to really come into the character, that's what brought the movie down just a little bit for me. But I do have to say that the ending of this movie is probably the ending of a movie that I have been waiting to see my entire movie watching experience. Everybody in the theater, when this action happened at the end of the movie, everybody was like, in the end, I really did like this movie. I like the way that Zack Snyder left behind his slow-mo effects and that he embraced telling a story. Now, some people are going to be irritated with the way the story was told and that there was a lot of action in it and that there wasn't a whole lot of talking by Superman. But to me, I really did like the way the movie was done. I liked the darker tone of it. I liked how Superman used his actions and really not a lot of his words to tell who he was. And he allowed the people around him to tell things about him. So in general, I liked the movie. I'm going to give this movie a 4K review. I feel that there were things in the movie that could have been done a little bit better that brought it down, especially the character of Zod. But you know what? This is a movie that you can go out and see in theaters for any price, maybe even in 3D. Now, I didn't see it in 3D, but if you really want to go see it in 3D, I think you're going to be happy. Also, make sure when this comes out on video, make sure to buy it and make sure to put it right in front of Superman Returns, or kneel before Zod! And thanks guys for watching my show. I really do appreciate all the viewers and subscribers that I have. If you just stopped by to see this review, make sure to click above and subscribe. If you want, click those keys below and tell me, did you like Superman Returns or did you like the Man of Steel better? And remember, never forget, if you don't like what you're watching, you can always turn it off. Thanks, guys.